the shit is real. I've validated this multiple times. It's so real, and it just requires a little bit of belief. What is up, guys? Thank you for tuning into the Start Today podcast. I'm your host, Chris Cavallini. Today's episode is part 2 of the art of goal setting. Dude, it's time, man. 8 steps to obtaining mastery with goal setting, guys. You might want to listen to this part twice. You might want to listen to this whole podcast twice because there's some really, really good shit in here. And again, this part will be irrelevant to anyone who's yet to accept full responsibility over your life. So if you feel that that might apply to you, maybe go back and listen to the first part again and again and again and again. And, until, hopefully it resonates. But guys, listen, how you set goals matters. Okay. This strategy, this isn't something that I created myself. Okay. This is something that has existed for centuries. This is practical action steps that, if applied, will manifest the outcome that you're after. All right. 8 steps to obtaining mastery with goal setting. Number 1, you got to have desire, right? You have to have an intense burning desire to accomplish your goals and to just become something more. Like, there has to be desire there, because without that, like, it'll be impossible to find the energy and the resiliency that's needed.
There's no way
to crush the obstacles that are going to pop. Like, the path forward is never just a clear, smooth, like, straight line.
No.
And it might seem like that at first, but eventually you're going to be tested. You're going to be battle tested. I mean, it's like a video game, man. Like, when you're, on the path and you're like trying to accomplish goals and do some like big shit, like at the end of every level, like, you have to fucking face a boss, right? You got to face a boss before you go to the next level in video games. Yeah. With this, like, the boss that you face is like adversity. A situation's going to come up, it's going to test you, and it's going to basically see if you're worthy of progressing to that next level. So guys, you need the desire. Also, number 1, your goals have to be big. We just covered why, okay? You cannot expect to get fired up, excited, motivated, passionate to put in the work that is required, as hard as it is required for, as long as it's required for, if you have some little bullshit goal that just doesn't really fucking matter, all right? It has to be big, like huge, like, look, there's like the 10X rule, one of my favorite books on goal setting. Whatever like your like initial gut goal is to set, like, automatically multiply it by 10. Automatically multiply it by 10. That's a good place to start. The kind of goals, again, that we're talking about, I'm talking about legacy goals. I'm not talking about, I want to reorganize my fucking garage by the end of the month type of shit. Like, that's not that, like, legacy goals. Okay. Like, the type of, the type of income that you want to produce, the how you want your body to look like, right? Like, fuck, dude, like, if you're into philanthropy and you like giving back, you like helping other people, I have a philanthropic goal that I write down. Any number of things. I'm trying to think, like, your career. What are some other things? Finances, relationships, spiritual, family, all these things,
stuff,
all these things. And like, it has to be big. It has to be like, again, dude, like, just say your goal out loud, right? Hopefully you're not around anybody, or maybe you are in your AirPods, but like, say whatever goal that initially would kind of come to your organic thought process. Say that out loud, okay? Then multiply that by 10, 20, 30, and say that shit out loud. And notice how different you feel just by speaking it.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about that, all right? So your goals have to be big. They have to be fucking huge, not comfortable. Not like when you write your goal down, dude, you should feel a little silly. You should feel a little fucking silly. You should feel uncomfortable. We know the importance of being uncomfortable. Look, if you can't even get fucking uncomfortable writing shit down on a piece of paper, like, dude, why? What are you doing?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, go back to episode 1 and just start from the beginning. You got to get caught up.
Yeah.
I mean, look, very, very simple. Like, the more things that we do that are uncomfortable, the better our life becomes. Set big, aggressive, crazy, unrealistic goals. Those who tell you to set little achieve, dude, no, don't listen to them. Stop following. Don't listen to their bullshit. Okay. Although you do need to have like benchmarks and things of that nature. That's not what the fuck we're talking about here. We're talking about the big shit, the big boy shit, not the little things that, I'm going to work out 3 times this week. Yay, dude, come on now. Come on now. That can be an action step towards a bigger outcome. The fact that, you want to lose 100 pounds in the next year, and maybe week 1, that is one of the targets, but that is not the end game. That is a step, and a small step, mind you, an important step, but it is not the end game. And it's not what we're talking about here. There's nothing inspiring about working out 3 times in 1 week, although it is needed, although you'll feel good when you do it. That's not what the fuck we're talking about here. And I want to make sure we clarify that for our listeners. What were you going to say before I rudely cut you off with my hand?
No. I was just saying these are like you kind of covered it basically.
Okay.
Like the goals that, you want for your life.
Yep.
Not the little things, but the big things.
Yeah.
And those may change as you...
They will fucking change.
Yeah, I mean, mine change all the time.
They better fucking change. I mean, if you guys are doing what the hell we're supposed to do, which is continuously work on becoming a new, better product of ourselves, the shit's going to fucking change, because once you accomplish the goal, like you don't just stop.
Right, but your desire might change with opportunity.
Sure.
That happened a lot.
But we never lower the target.
No. It's just life changes things, and you learn, like, for example, I went to film school to direct movies, and as I got into the movie industry, I realized it was a little different than I imagined, and I really didn't want to be into it. So I got into photography because I liked smaller crews, and I did that.
Yeah. So third thing, also number 1, you got to determine what has to be sacrificed. Talk about this. Okay. You have to determine what has to be sacrificed, because these goals, these big fucking fat, juicy, just powerfully inspiring goals that we set, they're not going to be easy to accomplish. All right. Like maybe I should have like prefaced with that. Like, by the way, just following these steps isn't going to absolve you of the hard work and the pain and the punishment that you will endure on the path. But you have to determine what has to be sacrificed, guys, because look, we all have a ton of stuff going on. We obviously all have to learn to be more efficient and get more done in less time, which is very possible. And as you evolve, you realize, and you look back, you're like, God, Jesus. I mean, some of the things that I used to do personally, I used to think I was working so hard, 16 hours a day. I'm working like fucking, bro, it's embarrassing. Like thinking about how I used to be and how I used to act and how I used to talk. It's like, no, I mean, yeah, I might've been like stressed and feeling like shit for 16 hours a day in a workspace, but I wasn't physically working I was doing things extraordinarily inefficiently, but because I lacked the level of awareness that I do now, I sure as hell thought I was. I mean, I'm just working so much, thinking that I'm fucking going hard with no results to show for it. No, like we have to be efficient, and we have to organize ourselves in such a way. And even when we are organized, even we are operating super efficiently, when we want to create a new life and just become something, that live a life that most people just don't live, we have to sacrifice something. And that can come in many, many, many forms, whether it's something simple as, just stop, drinking 6-7 beers at night when you're at home and sitting on your fat ass watching fucking 5 hours of TV and Netflix and bullshit. Like, if you want to be healthier and lose a bunch of weight and feel good and be in a position where you can actually keep up with your kids when you take them to the park and you're spending time with them, you can actually feel well and be present and enjoy that moment, you're going to have to sacrifice some shit. Okay. And it could be something like that. It could be something like, I don't know, maybe it can honestly be something positive. It can be something positive, like and oftentimes it is. And that's the thing. People don't recognize, they don't think they need to give up something positive because it's positive. But it's like, well, if that positive thing is encompassing 20% of your energy and you don't have anything else that you can cut out, well, where's the energy going to come in to work on the goal? Again, sometimes we have to just temporarily sacrifice something good in order to become something great. So, fourth thing, as you may have guessed,
Number one.
number one, they have to be specific, detailed, and clear. Okay. When I see people writing goals like, I want to lose 30 pounds. Okay. First of all, not very inspiring, boring, generic, like just no, like that's not a goal actually at all. It's not a goal. Stop thinking it is. Stop trying to fucking take a shortcut with everything in your fucking life. Like if you're not getting the results you want, like it's probably because of the shortcuts that you're taking. I mean, is it that much fucking harder to write down, I will lose 30 pounds by March 30th because I want to be healthier, more confident, and fit back into the waist size that I had when I was in high school? Like, is that much fucking, is honestly that much more effort?
No.
But what's the difference between those two?
Well, you actually gave your why. Mm-hmm. And every other goal I've ever known, and even I've done it, I never gave a why. I just said,
really?
I'd like to do this thing. I never said why. It just became like either peer pressure or something made me want to do it, but that's not a legitimate why.
Yeah.
Yeah. And without, again, that's actually the next thing. The next number one. But yeah, like we have to be very specific, very meticulous, very detailed, very clear, because when we're able to do that, when we're able to, to speak on that goal intelligently, write that goal down, we're seeing it, we're feeling what we're feeling in the moment, and that is what activates the law of attraction. Mm-hmm. We're feeling the way that we feel, and we're seeing these vivid, just very detailed description. And the really cool part is when you do that, when you get very clear and very meticulous and very specific about what you want, you don't even actually have to know what to do. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The process of attaining that goal, it's just something that organically materializes. Because I will tell you, when I started setting my goals, and I'm going to share my goals, I share my goals often on my social media, on my stories. I'll share my goals with you guys here in a few. Dude, when I started writing this shit down, when I actually set the goals that I have, and they've evolved a little bit. A couple of them I've made them a little bigger, and then one of them I just added a whole other line item. I was at a very, very low point. I was literally at a point where I was thinking that I was going to have to shut down my business. I was not in a good place financially. My business was not doing good. This was like the end of 2015. I just gone through, or was going through, a not very pleasant process. It was a fucked up time in my life. I had no reason to believe that I could. The path to what the goals that I had set and was writing down was not very clear with where I was at, if that makes sense, boys. But I knew that was a starting point. I knew that was, if I wanted to create change, if I wanted to like go from, where I was at to basically like the total opposite end of the spectrum, I knew the first thing that I would have to do is to get very, very clear about what that other end of the spectrum looked like for me. Mm-hmm. And I learned this again through the books and the seminars and shit. Like you hear all this stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was at a low point. I'm like, well, fuck it. What do I honestly have to lose? What do I have to lose if I set some big ass ridiculous goals that just as I write them down, like, yeah, it looks really nice, but like, let's just fucking be honest. Like, I don't think it's not realistic. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna write it down because I'm hearing in these books, and I start writing it down. One of those goals, again, at this point was to, it still is like, to be on the cover of Forbes magazine. And again, like I said, my life at the time, my business at the time, my mind at the time, everything about that time in my life looked dramatically different than what it does today. And, like throughout the years, after a couple of years, writing that goal down every fucking day, sometimes twice a day, one day fucking Forbes calls. I've been in Forbes 6 times. Mm-hmm. Never been on the cover of their magazine. But guess what? I'm in the fucking game. One day I will be. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like, the shit is real. I've validated this multiple times. It's so real. And it just requires a little bit of belief. You have to believe and entertain the possibility that what you are hearing right now from me, this story that I'm sharing with you, this strategy, that it's a real fucking thing and it does apply to you. It doesn't just apply to the people who have already made it. Okay? Because the people who have already made it, like, guess what? They didn't wake up one morning and just be in the position that they're in today. They started right where everybody else does, at the fucking bottom. Right where we fucking started when we launched this fucking podcast 10 months ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody remembers this, but I said this publicly on Instagram. I don't remember if I said it on the podcast. I feel like I did. But I think I know I did. I could have somebody go back and find that clip. But I've said multiple times that, you know what? Like, I'm pumped up to start at the bottom. Like, I'm starting back from scratch. I'm at the bottom right now. But it's all good because I knew in a short period of time would come the day that we wouldn't be. I fucking said that multiple times, and I knew, like, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm happy that, you know, things are going good. I'm very grateful. I'm not trying to be arrogant. I just know, like, you got to put it out there. You got to believe it.
That
and
mindset.
Then, fuck yeah, man. And it fucking feels good. And like, look, dude, even if it, like, this is the way, again, another way to put it in perspective. Even if whatever it is for you, like, even if it never happened, right? This is kind of a weird way to think. Even if it never fucking happened, like, is it a bad thing to feel like it will? Think about it.
Right.
Who gives a like, if you feel like, and just think these positive things and these good thoughts and it inspires you, like, is that not like a payoff in itself? You know what I mean? The great part is, like, it actually will happen regardless. But I'm just saying, worst case scenario, you end up feeling awesome all the time and inspired and motivated and driven. Like, oh, that doesn't really sound like too shabby of a thing.
Even if you didn't get that huge goal, you probably had a huge amount of other smaller things that were great.
Not small, big, a hell of a lot bigger. Yeah.
That even if you didn't get that, you have the eyes to see these things as what they are, and they're great. They're amazing.
So true. So guys, we'd be very, very clear, very specific. Okay. Maybe, you know, your dream home. Not say, oh, I live my dream home. No, like, describe your dream home. Like, right? Like, is it? What are the different style of homes that are, like,
colonial,
modern industrial, like, and, you know, like, how many square feet is it? Like, you know, how big is your pool? Like, very specific, like, specificity is integral as it relates to this, because
what is it? People, they create like a vision board.
Yes.
They'll cut out pictures and put it on there. And
dude,
shockingly, they'll find stuff. Dude. They'll find stuff that they put on a board like 5 years later that they have the exact same thing in their life. It's pretty wild.
So, Rick, on that note, I'm really glad that you brought that up, because as you guys see, I have a lot of papers here today. This is a podcast I prepared for a little more so than I do with normally, because it's so important. I wanted to make sure I didn't leave anything out, and I failed at that. But fortunately, you brought that up, because I actually have a vision board here, an image of a vision board that was created for me in 2014. Okay. And I'm going to read the things on here that were on my vision board at the time. And again, like, this was not when I actually set goals the right way, right? These were smaller goals. I mean, at the time they were big goals, like, but not like 10x goals. And, you know, it wasn't like super specific or anything like that. Because again, like, see, 2014, see that? It wasn't until 2015 that I started doing it the right way, the end of 2015. But anyway, and it's really interesting that I didn't do it the right way, and I'll tell you why here in a second, okay? We got a few goals on here. So one of the goals was take the company national by November 2014. I think we did that the end of 2015. So I did not accomplish that goal in 2014. But I think it's safe to say that I've accomplished that goal. Yeah, sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, this wasn't like a 2014 goal. This was just my goal in 2014. This was my goal. Yeah. Right. So I wanted to do that by November. And look, I didn't. I did it by probably a year after the fact. Wasn't thinking big enough, right? Didn't get specific /enough. Didn't outline the action steps. Didn't outline my why. Okay. Next thing was read/listen/watch 45 minutes of personal development every single day. So this was, again, at the time where I was aware and learning the importance of personal development, but I wasn't doing it as consistently as I needed to, or like felt like I should. Again, didn't do that in 2014. I didn't start doing that shit till after I was sentenced. I was doing personal development, but I just had my toe, and I did it when I had time. I did it when I felt like it. I did it when it was convenient. Again, didn't outline anything specific, like none of that, right? Like next one, do more charity. 5 sponsored events for the year. Like, what the fuck is that? That's such a little for me. Like now, one of my goals, I'll share them with you guys, is to donate $10 million to charity in a year. You know what I mean? Like I've donated over 6 figures the last couple of years. I used to write down 1 million, and as that's kind of like progressed, and I've gotten like up there. I'm like, well, fuck it. 10 mil sounds like a more reasonable figure that will make me feel good about myself, and I know will make more of an impact. Fuck yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Another thing here, 25,000 blog subscribers to my email list. Again, this is where I was at the time, guys.
Yeah.
Like this is funny. 100% growth of the company, and go on a true vacation. So the 25,000 blog subscribers. Like I don't even know what to say about that. The 100% growth of the company. Again, it wasn't until 2015 that I started setting goals the right way. In 2016, we grew the company 336% in that 1 year. And between 2014 and in between 2015 and 2017, it was like 568%. So again, that's when I committed to doing things the right way. That's when I actually started doing the 1 hour of personal development per day. And then this other one here, go on a true vacation. This goal, I definitely, I don't know what really that meant. There's no specific, go on a true vacation. Cool. When? Well, I guess it doesn't really matter, right? So I didn't go on my fucking first vacation until last year. First vacation I've ever gone into 35 years. At the time I was on the planet, I went on. Now I've committed 2 vacations a year every year. That's what it is. That is what it is. That's a minimum. That's my standard now, because I now have also realized that vacations for me are part of the work. I come back better. You know what I mean? So like, there's a huge difference between setting goals the right way and speaking things in specific and detailed, and actually making them happen, and then just doing like what I used to do, and not actually getting the outcomes that you want in your life. Those were my goals in 2014. Fuck, man, 2015 ended up being the shittiest year of my life. Though I didn't really have good goals at the time. So it just, how you set goals absolutely matters. Having a vision board, super helpful. But again, it's just a tool, it's a resource. So we're moving on to the thing we've kind of alluded to. It's got to be purpose driven. It has to have a reason. Like everybody wants to be in shape. Everybody wants to have a ton of money, right? Everybody wants to have the perfect spouse, the perfect family, the perfect house, perfect car, whatever. But why? Why do you really want that? Not that you look cool on Instagram, not so you can buy like a fresh pair of fucking Jordans every time they drop, not so you don't have to work hard. No, like what the fuck? Like, why do you want to do that? What is it that makes you want to have, I guess, financial security, right? Why do you want that big house? What is it important? What does it matter to you? What kind of car you drive? Some of the happiest people I know don't give a shit. Oh, by the way, and financially successful, they don't give a shit about the cars and all that. So like, you could ask yourself, like, is this something I really want, or is it something I just want to look like something that I am not? Because I wrote the fucking book on that, kids. Shit doesn't work. It does not work. You think it works. You want to think it works. It doesn't work. And then you do it, and then you validate it doesn't work. But no, fuck, this has got to be a coincidence. And you keep doing it. You keep chasing it. And the outcome never fucking changes, because it is not what we get. It is what we give, and the people we help, and the impact that we make, and just the accomplishments that that our hard work manifests, that makes us feel alive and makes us feel present and makes us feel grateful. It
Well, you
is
know what?
not the fucking cars.
That's I was gonna say that's probably why most people don't write down their goals. They haven't given enough thought to the kind of life that they want for themselves.
Yeah.
They're kind of blowing in the wind and taking opportunity. But what do you really want? Because when I really thought about that, it actually took me a couple years
Yep.
to like really, really understand what I wanted and why.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy thing to do, but the fact is, I don't want to spend a lot of time on that part
Yeah.
because if we like, I hear in some of these, you know, a lot of the books, a lot of the teaching, they'll say that like, oh, it's a very difficult thing. Just like anything, it's a mindset. Like, okay, do you want to fucking take a couple years to figure it out and keep like running in the motherfucking hamster wheel, or do you want to fucking set some real goals right now? With some real value, some real purpose, some real, specific details attached with purpose, and start creating a better life now and adjust as you go, as you evolve, as you figure out maybe more like what you want. Like,
Well, I think you have to do that.
you fucking have to. And that's the thing. Don't get caught up trying to set the perfect goal.
No.
You know what I mean? But yeah, it has to have a why. Like, why do you want that money? Like, is it because you want to like send your kid to like, I don't know, the best private school? You want to be able to like buy your wife the best, I don't know, anniversary presents. You get more guys want to go on X amount of family vacations and want to be able to do so without any sort of like financial strain. Like, why do you want to do these things? Why do you want to be healthy? Why do you want to be fit? Why do you want to lose 100 pounds? Mm-hmm. Why? Like, like, what is it? Like, maybe you don't want to, hopefully it's because you don't want to wake up every single fucking morning feeling like shit and basically live a life of sickness, of like just low self-esteem, low confidence, and just have to ultimately be dependent on insulin and other bullshit to, I guess, to live.
Yeah.
That's not taking responsibility over your life. That is very much being dependent on other things and other people.
Right.
So you got to outline why it is important. And a lot of times, man, like a lot of times people have trouble with this. My generic piece of advice that it's not very often that generic advice is actually really powerful. But if you have a hard time figuring out like the why and all that, like do what I did when I decided to turn my life around. I didn't have a mission at the start of my, I guess, my comeback. But I started to think really, really, really hard about what would happen and what my life would look like if I didn't start making some changes.
Yeah.
That in itself can be very, very powerful. And, you know, it's something I think we need to do often to kind of keep ourselves accountable and to gain that perspective. So moving on to number one, have your goals align with your other goals, right? This will produce a compounding effect. One of my goals, again, I'll share all of them here, at the end when I give my goals and some examples of like to kind of get people thinking the right way for them to accomplish goals, is my net worth is $250 million. Okay. So one of my other goals is to donate $10 million this year to charity. If I have a net worth of $250 million, that puts me in a position, guess what? That I can donate $10 million to charity and good causes and not flinch in the process. So it's very important to have goals that are aligned with each other, because again, it will just kind of have a compounding benefit. So when, you have your financial goals, have them tie into your family goals, your personal goals, just have everything kind of flow together in harmonious sync where nothing is kind of, I don't know, where nothing conflicts with each other, right? Where everything is just able to be created in harmony and in sync and just organically
all energy,
materialize.
Yeah, all energy feeds.
Yeah, in a beautiful, easy flowing manner. All right. Moving on to, what number is that?
Number one.
Yeah, it's number one. You got to write your goals down every day, guys. And we're going to spend a little time on this, not too much, because it's getting to that point where I just feel like it's getting hot in this room.
Yeah, it's getting up there.
Oh man. Anyway, guys, that was an inside joke. But no, seriously, you have to write your goals down every day. Well, why do I have a vision board? Why do I have to write them down every day? Because you're not looking at your vision board every day. One. Two, you probably don't even have a vision board. And three, when you write your goals down every day, like, guess what you're doing? You're thinking about your goals.
Yeah.
You're thinking about your goals. And again, you're not only thinking about it, you're thinking about your specific, detailed, clear, concise goals that is basically going to create that picture in your brain. You're going to have that why attached to that purpose. You're writing that down every day, which is basically not only keeping it at the forefront of your conscious mind, the top of your priority list, but it's actually a form of visualization technique. If you think about it, if you're writing your goals as setting your goals as we've outlined and continue to, I mean, look, I don't visualize as much as I should. I do, but I couldn't possibly do a podcast on visualization because I am not at the level of proficiency and consistency with that, like true visualization now, where I would feel comfortable telling people, like, I'm not a fucking hypocrite. I'm not going to go and tell people to do it inconsistently the way that I do. It's something that I know is so fucking important. It's so powerful. And I am working on, and I will get better at, and I will one day be in that position. But I also know that, like, by writing my goals down every day, that actually is a form of visualization where you actually are in the moment. And again, this is how the law of attraction works, guys. Like, some of you guys may have heard this before, others may not. But again, our reality, our circumstances, our life is created by our thoughts. So if we are thinking about, like, our future, our goals in a very specific, clear, detailed manner, we're doing that consistently, we're going to feel the associated emotions that we will feel once we accomplish those goals. We're going to basically be feeling as if. And that is where the fucking magic happens. Like, just setting goals and, like, seeing yourself there, there's no power in that. Like, it's the feelings. The feelings are what basically create a field, in like a field of energy in the quantum field that essentially creates that, like, it's like a magnetic effect. When you feel those feelings that you'll feel once you accomplish that thing, that is when that thing and yourself will just start gravitating towards each other, and ultimately will connect and meet at exactly the right place at exactly the right time. But that is why we need to, again, the power of writing your goals comes into play when we're very, very, very specific and detailed and methodical. Again, attention to detail is important with everything, but it's so important to this. I mean, you're not going to have the same results writing your goals on if you're writing the little bullshit examples that I gave earlier. I want to lose 6 pounds. I mean, yeah, okay, now you've done that. Now what? Like, that's, you know what I mean? It has to follow the pecking order of all the number ones that we have listed to this point. They have to be done every day. And think of it like this, guys. Writing your goals down. This is the framework that I've created. Writing your goals down is part of the work. It's not extra. It's not, oh, I have to. No, you get to write your goals down every day. And another thing that just, I guess, would be helpful to keep in mind is when you have a specific goal, like, and you're serious, if you claim to be serious, I mean, if you can't even take the time to write it down every day, do you really think that you're going to take the time and invest the energy and put in the work and make the sacrifices needed to actually accomplish the goal? If you can't even do something that actually will make you feel good for a couple minutes a day, you know what I mean? It's a mindset thing. Now, do I do this every day? Just about. There are days that I miss it, but I do it more. It's just part of it. It gets to a point where it's just like, if I forget to do it, I'm like, oh shit. And I stop what I'm doing and I go and I just, and I write it down because it's that important to me. It's like, I feel like I'm not only slowing down my progress by not writing them down, I'm also robbing myself of a very easy opportunity to fucking feel awesome in the moment. Yeah. I'm going to do as much things as I can to feel awesome. And I will take all the help that I can. I will take all the help and I can, all the little things like this that I need all the help I can. I mean, it's fucking hard as fuck. Like, any support I can get, like, I will take it. And it's just powerful, man. When I write all the shit that I write down every single day, like it starts to happen. It starts to happen. It's a real thing. And then I think that's when you really kind of like get to the point where if you miss a day, it feels like shitty is when you finally have that validation. But you have to have that belief before the belief happens before
I don't
the
do that, but I'm
validation.
going to try it.
I think you need to, bro. I think you need to. I had this conversation on Brad Lee's podcast with him. He doesn't write his goals down. And obviously Brad's very, very successful, has done a lot. But I'm like thinking, like it's not that you'll be a fucking broke loser if you don't write them down. Like that's not what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
I'm saying that
You reinforce it.
you're leaving shit on the table, man. I mean, look, bro, 3%. 3% of that, they had written goals. They had written goals out, man. There was, they had what was it, the 14% that had goals, claimed they had goals in their mind.
No.
And at the end of the show, you see that the people who actually wrote goals down, not just claim they have goals, wrote fucking goals down, were making 10 times more than the other 97% of MBA graduates combined 10 years after the fact. I mean, that's
good enough for me.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It was good enough for me too. Yeah. So yeah. Last thing, really, really important. Write your goals down as if they've already happened.
Yeah.
Write them down as if they've already happened. That way you're really able to feel as if you're able to really be present, even if only temporarily, in that state of just passion, enthusiasm, excitement, confidence. Again, that activates that law of attraction. Again, so much power in writing our goals down, even more so when we write them down as if they've already been accomplished. So the goals that I write down every single day, I write down first. This is in no order of importance. I just try to kind of hit each, I guess, category that would be important to me and ensure that they're all kind of flowing in harmonious sync, as it were, as far as supporting each other. My net worth is $250 million. Is my net worth $250 million? No, because if it was, my goal would probably be my net worth is 1.5 billion, right? Like I write it down high, I write it down aggressive, I write it down just fucking whole other higher level of thinking, and I write it down as if it's already happened. And honestly, by doing that, not only am I getting all the benefits that we just described, it makes me fucking feel good. So the second thing is I have freedom with my time. Look, when I started writing that down, I had the opposite of freedom with my time. I was like a fucking like prisoner, a slave, if you will. And I literally started writing that down because I had zero flexibility or freedom with my time. And it was so funny because like, as my circumstances evolved and my life started to kind of like just get better, my perspective or my thought process or I guess outlook on what freedom with my time actually is has evolved. And I look at my life right now and I'm like, very busy. I have a lot of things going on, just whatever. That's just how it is. But as I'm very aware that in comparison to like 99% of people, and especially in comparison to who I was and what my life looked like when I started, writing that shit. I mean, dude, I have fucking all kinds of freedom with my time. Because what is freedom with the time? What does that mean? Basically, I invest my time the way I want to invest my time. It doesn't mean that I sit on my ass all day and fucking sleep till noon and go party and like take private planes all the time and never show up to work. Like, cause I'm, spending the weekend in the island somewhere. I have freedom with my time. I have the ability to spend my energy how I want to, where I want to, with who I want to. And I still write that down, even though one could make the argument. But again, like my level of consciousness has evolved, and now like having freedom with time means something so much different now, and what my goal is now than what it was then. But again, wrote it down and it fucking happened. I would be an idiot to stop writing it down.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So the next one is I donated $10 million this year to charity and miscellaneous good causes. Again, we kind of talked about that. Again, like specific number, deadline, like this year. And again, written as if it was already accomplished. I've been on the cover of Forbes magazine. I have not been on the cover of Forbes magazine, but I damn sure have every fucking day when I write that shit down. You know what I mean? I see that image. I see it on I see the online image. I see it on the bookshelf. Like I see it. I see it. And it is for that reason that I know it will happen. And then the last one is, I'm the most recognizable influencer on the planet. And when I use the term influencer, I don't mean like some fitness jerk off holding some shitty fat burner on their Instagram page telling you to click on their link to buy their shit. I mean influencer in the sense that I have positively influenced more people to take productive action to change their life than anyone else on the planet. That is the type of influence that I mean. That is the type of influence that is important to me, and that is the type of influence that I try to put out there. So that's what it is, man. And if you notice, all of them support each other, right? All of them support, and it's not one that's like, wait a minute, that's fucking like, and also if you notice, a lot of them are multiple ones are not just about me, right? It's not about me. It's about serving other people. It's about helping other people, which is the only way realistically that you'll ever be able to obtain that sort of financial success.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you can't just have it all be for you for selfish reasons and expect for it to materialize. It just doesn't fucking work that way.
Agreed.
So, want to give, before we wrap up here, some examples, guys. Again, those of you might be overwhelmed by this. Couple books you need to get your hands on: The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone and Goals by Brian Tracy. I would recommend Goals by Brian Tracy first because it's awesome. Brian Tracy is awesome. Brian Tracy is basically just like me, only he's an old man who's nothing like me, and he's like very kind and gentle, and his voice is kind of funny. But we say the same stuff, only right. I say it kind of meanly and aggressively, and he says it very nicely, and it just sounds like it makes you really want to go do it. Like when sometimes where I say it, like I offend people, and they like get mad at me. But yeah, Brian Tracy is a huge mentor of mine, one of the true OGs of the game. True OGs, awesome guy. Man, I hope I have the chance to meet him to tell him. I mean, I've been able to meet. Yeah, I've been able to meet a lot of my mentors. He's just an older guy. He's not in any of the the groups. I listened to him yesterday. Oh, were you really?
Yeah, yesterday I was.
Yeah, so shout out to Brian Tracy. Yeah, Goals by Brian Tracy, guys. That book just completely changed my whole thought process and basically taught me about this. This is not a thing. This is an art form. This is a man. It's not just a thing you do. This is it's like Bible scripture. Like it is that powerful. It is that important. It is that prestigious. And 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Again, if you guys are interested, which you should be, read those books. Read them twice. I wrote down a couple goals here, and again, just before we wrap up, of what some of your goals might sound like out there, guys. I know this is a tough thing because there's a lot of bullet points here. And again, I will reiterate them quickly to just to kind of recap what we talked about as far as the 8 steps to obtaining mastery with goal setting. The first step is to have intense desire. The first step, part 2, is you got to have a big goal. You got to have a big, huge, just unreasonable, unattainable monster fucking goal that just fires you the fuck up, makes you passionate, and just gets you excited thinking about. All right. Next thing is you got to determine what you're going to have to sacrifice in order to facilitate the goal that you set. The next step is it has to be a specific, clear, detailed goal that articulates exactly what you want. Because when you know exactly what you want, you don't actually have to know what you're going to have to do to get there. The process will just kind of naturally and organically materialize. The next thing is it has to be purpose driven. You have to have a why attached to it, a reason to want to accomplish the goal in the first place. Next thing is you have to have goals that align with your other goals due to the fact that it will help produce a compounding effect. And the second to last thing is you got to write them down every day. All right. Non-negotiable. Writing them down every single day needs to be looked at as part of the work because it is.
Just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
how detailed are you when you write them down every day?
Just how I just said.
Okay.
Yeah. Just how I just said. And the last thing is write them as if they've already been obtained. Now, that's a good question. I'm glad that you asked that. When I first started writing the goals, they looked a little different. Like I used to have to write them a little longer. It took me a little longer when I was actually training and condition. Like the why that I had, like wasn't. It sounded reasonable and it sounded good, but I really wasn't actually committed to it at first. But then when it's funny because like you're training yourself, you're conditioning yourself, you're writing it down every day. You start believing it. I mean, look, whatever you tell yourself, good or bad, eventually you become married to it. So now, like, when I write down like what my net worth is, I don't necessarily have to elaborate too much. I have other goals on the list that support what that is, but I know deep inside why that is important to me.
Right.
So in the beginning, maybe be a little, and look, the more detailed you get, the better off you're going to be, so yeah. And then the last thing, again, write them as if they've already been attained, because although it might seem silly, it might seem uncomfortable, there's a lot of power in that. It's just that certainty, that clarity, and that visualization that will help you activate that law of attraction and create the outcome that you're after in a shorter period of time. So some of the examples that I wrote here, again, I literally just off the cuff, 2 minutes before we came in here, wrote these for people to give them an idea of how similar, how their goals should sound to be in accordance with the rules that we just outlined. So we've got a few here. I'm making $150,000 a year doing a job I love with people who inspire me. I'm in the best shape of my life, and as a result, have higher levels of confidence and self-belief that allow me to easily obtain the things that I want most. I'm driving my dream car, which is a 1970 red Chevelle, and live in the house of my dreams with my amazing husband or wife and our 2 beautiful kids. So again, very detailed, very clear, have been written as if they've already happened, very inspiring. Just again, like just when you're saying it, it just sounds positive. It sounds productive. It
You can picture it.
You can,
yeah. I can see the car. You can, yeah.
All that. Details matter, guys. Details matter in every area of life. Attention to detail, probably none more so than with your goals. So the more detailed you get, the higher the probability is that you'll actually manifest the outcome that you're after. And like, if you don't, hey, who gives a shit? Because you falling short is probably massively ahead of whatever you're doing now or wherever you would end up if you set your little bullshit goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you guys have anything to add?
Not really. You pretty much covered it all.
I mean, I can say I have some to that extent of that goal because I'm wanting to triple my income and I'm wanting to do that. The why would be because I want to be able to pay off my house. Well, why do you want to do that? Because I want to give to the family. I want to give someone a car like it was given to me. Like,
those are the things that
you need to have those things.
And even if they're buried in there, like if you don't bring them to the surface, it's not as inspiring.
It's not, and I have noticed going 2 number ones back, given I don't write them down, I know the process that has to happen to make these things real and make them happen. I get lost in the work because you lose sight of the car or whatever that end goal is because I got to meet these people. I've got to shake more hands. I've got to talk to these people. Well, and you get distracted.
The great thing about, I think if you write down the major goals like you're talking about, you have so much time in between to fill out not only the whys, but the detailed plan of how you're going to make those things happen. And whenever you start to do that, that's, I think, when you have that behind you, the full knowledge of that behind you, when you write out those things daily, it won't take a lot of time, but it will confirm, like I said, that plan that you have in place and all the little things you got to do, which turn out to be a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly. When you know specifically where you want to go, that outcome, all those little fucking things, they just become clear.
Yeah.
They become clear. People don't know what to do. It's like, well, you're not going to know what to do if you don't know what the fuck you want. Like, you gotta know what you want before you know what to do.
Yep.
But a lot of people fail to recognize
Right.
that.
And you know, and the thing also too, we kind of mentioned it briefly before, is you may not know exactly what you want to do, but you have to go forward with a direction, and you have to think about that direction, and those things may change, but you can't go forward unless you're going forward. So you got to go forward.
You don't focus on the roadblocks, like you said.
Yeah.
You're focusing on what you're wanting, and not what's in your way.
It'll come.
It's
Hey,
true.
surely people have and will continue to accomplish their goals without writing them down. Okay, no question. But what are they leaving on the table? What are they leaving on the table? Can't help but wonder how much more difficult are they making the process on them. I mean, look,
Yeah.
if I know that writing my fucking goals down is going to make the shit come easier to me, I'm taking that fucking shortcut all day. That's not a traditional shortcut where you're trying to, this is a shortcut that actually produces a positive outcome.
Yeah.
Even if it's 10 minutes. I mean, if it could potentially move you from making like an extra $3 million because it helped you stay focused on your goal, you could give up 10 minutes a day to
it's a
make
good
an extra
trade-off.
$3 million a year.
It's honestly not 10 minutes, but you're damn right. I mean, if it was longer than that,
You know.
it's not 10 minutes. It takes me like 2 minutes.
Sure.
And it's a part of my day. I do it in the morning. I do it as I write down my targets for the day. Hopefully you guys are up on that, writing down your targets. If you aren't, we did a podcast about that. You can look through the previous episodes because I do not know the numbers off the top of my head. But again, like, I do that every day because, I mean, like, I have to. If I like leave my planner like at home, dude, I'm like, I feel like I've lost my child in the mall or something. Like, I need it to help me operate at my best. So I'm 100% using that. So it's like, it's not like an extra thing to write my goals down because I write them down on the same page that I write down my daily targets. So yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed the episode. This is a long one, but it honestly is one that I feel I could talk about longer just because, man, like setting goals and then learning how to set goals properly was one of the primary catalysts that allowed me to basically just like propel myself aggressively forward in 2016 when I started to do it. I started to not only set goals the right way, I started to write down my targets. I mean, it's like, look, when I wrote my goals down, shit just started to fucking happen. There's a million fucking things that happened and that got better in that year and that have continued to. But I can't help but wonder if any of that would have happened if I didn't actually get clear about what I wanted to do and who I wanted to become. So logically, it just makes sense, guys. If we want to make stuff happen for our lives, we want to go places and just become just a higher version of our current selves, we have to figure out exactly what that is. We put it on paper. We put it on paper every day, and then we just do the shit that we need to do in order to produce that outcome. But I appreciate you guys listening. Crush it this week. It's January. Hopefully, you guys are still going hard with those resolutions. And if you've fallen off track, well, guess what?
Get back on.
Now you have the fucking solution. Yeah. Now you know why you've fallen off track. You know that you can't just set some little bullshit goal because the people at your job in the cubicle, 2 down, are doing it. Like, you got to do it for a compelling, true reason that actually has this meaning attached to it. So hopefully some of you have failed your New Year's resolution because now you have the opportunity to go about it again with a much better strategy to produce a much different outcome. Kick ass this week. Later, guys.